You spend all off season preparing for this. What's the feeling when you finally get to game week?
Game week, school's starting, it's football season. You know, we've been doing this for, I think, going on my 26th year now, and this is a reminder. You work all year round for 12 opportunities. It's unique in that regard, the sport is, and our young men, and not just our players, but just the staff, the support staff, the weight coaches, the training room, like it's a year-round process. And so to get to game week, it's exciting.
What does this first game week feel like different with the guy who's been around, a quarterback who's been around for a year like Luke versus maybe last year, or just to some degree of a feeling out process?
Yeah, I think so. I think just familiarity and him knowing what to expect during the week. You know, what the practice flow is going to be like. And that's for any player that's returning, but in particular with the quarterback, to know how maybe he likes to be talked to during the week, and what things he likes to look at to help prepare him, and and to tailor that not just to Luke, but to Donovan and Kirkland. I've got 3 guys in the room that have been with me, and Cal's been here for an extended time, but those guys in particular have been with me now for a couple, 3 seasons, so I kind of know what makes them tick, and they understand how I communicate. So that's a positive thing for us.
Is there anything in particular during the last 4 weeks you learned about your group that maybe you didn't know going in?
The quarterbacks in particular, or just overall?
Your group overall.
I think you're always learning about all of them. I'd say a generic answer is sure. I learned a lot about us collectively, and maybe what strengths are, and what maybe some not glaring but potential weaknesses would be. And we all have them. Every unit in the country has both of those. They have both sides of the spectrum. So, but I think this group is really cohesive. I think that's to note. It's of note. I think that sticks out to me on both sides of the ball. But I know our unit. I think they're very cohesive. They've got a good relationship, and I think they're really eager to put their best foot forward.
Have you seen that tight end room kind of respond or grow since Cole's injury?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously that was a setback and we talked about this already, not just for most importantly for Cole. I mean, that can get lost in the shuffle this time of year big time, about guys that have had an injury that is going to keep them from doing what they worked all year round for. That's hard. That's very hard. But I know Cole and others that are experiencing the same thing. It requires a lot of grit and toughness to get through that, and I'm confident they will. All in our whole team, our training room, and doctors do a great staff with those guys. But then, obviously to move on from a structural standpoint, I think everybody looked around the room and realized this was a guy that was an integral part of what we're doing, and now I've got to step my game up. And so I've seen that. Henry has certainly got a strong role for us. Tanner's been super consistent. Carson, is we've seen flashes of Carson, and he's played a lot of football in the past, and that shows. And so that's a good thing, and we're mixing and matching a bunch of other guys, so that's going to be important that we pick the slack up in a bunch of different ways.
Did you get a lot answered maybe in the week and a half where you haven't had Cruzy at the center position, in a sense of starting with you as the play caller all the way down, and
yeah,
this is going to work? Yeah,
I think we feel very confident about it, but obviously we have an extreme amount of confidence when Cruz is there as our point man. That's a guy that is one of the hearts and soul of our organization. He represents everything that we strive to be, and are being at our best. When we're at our best, that's who we are. Like, we're tough and we're gritty, and that's Cruz to a T. And Josh Cruz isn't the only one that represents that on our football team, but he gets in there and leads our team. And so when he stepped away, it obviously created a void there on multiple levels. But I think at the end of the day, looking back on it, I think we could all agree that it was a blessing for us to be able to give opportunities to those other guys to get in there, to get comfortable being the point man, the snaps, the exchanges, and that just grew steadily day by day. So I think we've gotten to a spot where we feel really comfortable with multiple guys being able to be in there and be able to execute our offense without any hiccups.
Coach, what do you know about the Eastern Illinois defense scheme-wise, some things that they're going to show you?
Yeah, well, I know they play really good defense, and I know that because of 2 reasons. Number one, it shows up on the film. And number 2, their head coach and I go way back and have a very strong relationship with Chris Wilkerson and Sharna. We worked with them at San Jose State. I'm actually privileged, Janelle and I are privileged to be Peyton, their son, that's their oldest son, that's on the football team, his godparents, and so we go way back. I've got a deep, long history with Chris, and to see him at his alma mater, I feel like I learned a lot about Eastern Illinois when I knew him years ago, because he had coached there and played, he had played there, and his wife was from there, and so I felt like I kind of was connected to the Eastern Illinois culture. And to see him go back there and to do what he's done in a short fashion. Number one is they're super impressive. Number two, it's not surprising. Chris is an excellent coach. He's very detailed. He's one of the, I would say, from a defensive perspective, took time years ago to teach me a lot about defense. Just I like to bring him in the offensive room to hear his perspective about what they were doing, how they were teaching it. And I know Chris is an excellent detailed coach, and that shows up in all facets of they play. But I'm particularly looking at their defense, and so they're very detailed, just like Chris. They're meticulous. They played the personality of the head coach, and it's a very impressive unit that plays on film weekly, and they do a really good job.
What's your comfort level at this point coming out of camp with the helmet communications and all the new technology that's being implemented?
Well, coach has done a great job of pressing us on that and making us, using that daily for every scrimmage, every mock game. And so the comfort level is, as good as it can be, I think, for going into game one. I think our quarterbacks really like it. I feel really comfortable with it. The only thing I haven't done is use it in a real game yet. Don't see any hiccups in that. Don't see any, other than maybe a technological challenge. I don't know if that's even a word, but something going haywire with technology. But other than the functionality of the way it's built and set, I think it's a really good thing, and I think our guys are really comfortable with it.
I mean, between spring and summer, I'm sure you had a pretty good idea of what the offense could be. Was there anything in camp that stood out to you as maybe being new or surprising or different to something those guys did in the last 3 weeks?
Speak that again. Say that question more. Ask that question one more time. I'm sorry.
Was there anything during training camp that surprised you, or you saw maybe new or different from your guys that was maybe different than what you thought it would be going in?
Well, I mean, I think you've seen I have noticed every individual player that we have that's returning marked improvement, and that would be to be expected. But I think our coaches, do a great job of the fine details and the technical aspect of their positions, and I've seen growth at all positions. I mean, I think just the consistency from this group has stood out to me. I feel like we've been really consistent, and that's something that we talk about being tough, smart, dependable, and that's something that we really talk to our guys about just holistically, but even on our side of the ball. Like, we have to be a dependable unit, and we have to show up every game. Doesn't mean we're going to score every time we get the ball, but we have to be consistent and dependable for our team, and that's a big area of growth for us. I've seen those markings show up in practice, and now we need that to carry over for the season.
Barry, how much conversation did you have with Brett about these veteran maintenance days and just trying to balance the idea of continuity from practice to practice, but trying to get through a 5-month season as well?
Not many. Coach got great vision for what we're trying to do, and it's one of anybody that works underneath him, around him knows that he's got an incredible gift to think through A through Z, and really thorough in what he sees and what he sees coming. That it's a unique perspective to only he has because he's the head coach, and so that's one of those examples where he recognizes, we got some older guys or some guys are a little tired to maintenance those guys, and we've got enough depth for the younger guys need to get work in that. So I think it's been a really good balancing act, and I think as we head into this game weeks, I think we feel really good about our health overall.
Coach, what do you want to see from Luke Altmaier in week one? Or some things you're looking forward to show you that he's taken a step forward this year? Yeah,
I think it'll show up in the play. I mean, like specifically, it'll be, playing with poise and, looking like a returning starter. And that's my job to help facilitate that. It's our job around him, to help facilitate that. Every player that's on the field, we just got to work in unity and be on the same page from a protection standpoint, run game checks, routes depth, all the things that typically kind of show up in the first game. Like that's inevitably they will, but our challenge is to be as game ready as we can be, and I feel like our unit has received that. And now we still got some work to do, a big work week ahead of us to put the finishing touches on that. But I would expect Luke to come out and playing like he has all fall camp, which is very confidently and with an urgency that's been really nice.
If you think back to your last stop with Zakari, there was some formation for you in the slot. You can think back, like, what did you like about that look, and what can that do for an offense with that versatility?
Well, I mean, I think I would say versatility is a key for that room in general. I mean, I think there's several guys, I think you'll see several guys that are going to play, at that position. And then I think there's a lot of guys that have a lot of flexibility from positions. And so that's one of the things that's taught in the offense, which probably like most offenses is the flexibility of moving. Hey, you may be here today and you may be here. That's one of the blessings and kind of, when a guy does get nicked up, is you get a chance to practice being at another position. And so It's my job and our job as a staff to put our players in the best position they can be to be successful. You know, the best position to be successful, I should say. And sometimes that may be on the perimeter for a receiver. I mean, sometimes that may be in the interior. It may be both in the same series, you know, and same thing for our tight ends and running backs. It's, you know, that's a fun part of being a coordinator is you get a chance to identify who your guys are and then move the pieces around a little bit. And so I think you would expect to see multiple receivers and multiple lineups.
Felt like last year you leaned on those 3 receivers for good reason. They were very good, but it sounds like you guys feel like you have more depth at that position. What does that do for you guys as play callers? What can that do for you?
Yeah, I think depth everywhere is a good thing, right? In any position. And so we certainly, I think that would be probably one of the, I think, you know, I've kind of deflected both of your questions earlier about what was different or what you saw different. I think just as I peel back that question a little bit is, you know, we went from the spring to being kind of new face there and a lot of question marks. And there's still a lot of question marks there about game day, but I feel like that group as a whole has blended together really nicely with the addition of, you know, Zakari and an older player. So now you have 2 older guys that, you know, between him and Pat, been around football for a long time, know how to play with a nice blend of youth and some returning guys. And I think it's made for a really nice blend of what we have there. And so I'm excited to see those guys, you know, take that to game action.
Coach, the outside world sees an FCS game on your schedule, figures that's a piece of cake, that's be easy. Tell me why that's not the case. Why does coach not think that?
Well, number one, you have to have blinders on to the outside world, period, right? No matter what week you're playing, no matter if it's going well, no matter if it's not going well, right? So that's a mentality right there. And number two, there's multiple. Number two, you get 12 opportunities in a year, okay? So you better be ready for every one of them. Number 3, it's your opener, right? And number 4, and really this is number 1 because you got a real quality opponent. You know, I mean, you got a team here right down the road that plays football the right way and has got a lot of momentum going after their success that they had last year. And so, you know, that goes within the mantra of you can substitute Eastern Illinois for whoever that might be, and that has to be the same mindset. But there's a lot of respect from us going into this game about who Eastern is and how they play, and our guys are ready for that challenge. But and so I think that, you know, that hopefully that's a direct answer to how you got to have blinders, and then you got to say, listen, everybody that we play is going to deserve our respect, and that's, I would say the same thing if we're playing you know, the Dallas Cowboys during the week. It's the same approach, right? You get 12 opportunities, and we know that they're going to be ready for us, and we're certainly doing our part to get ready for them.
How is the tablet usage, like in your scrimmages and mock games? Just a taste of that. Just what's that meant for you as a coach, and maybe teaching in those moments when you've got maybe the immediacy? Yeah,
I think that's going to be probably one of the most interesting, or, you know, to me, the headset communication is pretty cut and dry. You know, it's like, okay, I push a button and I talk to the quarterback, and it cuts off at 15 seconds, right? And so that gives us a way to communicate, right? And then, but the tablets, there's probably going to be more subjective to team interpretation about how they're used, how they're implemented. Again, to revisit earlier, we've had multiple scrimmages and opportunities to learn how to use those and how to navigate those for our football team, how to take advantage of those in between series. But and I think we feel good about that plan. So it's going to be interesting to go through a game with it and to see. I know our players really gravitate toward it. They like that immediate feedback. I know us as coaches, it gives us some more defined feedback about what's happening and what we're seeing. But at the end of the day, corrections still need to be made, you know, verbally, visually, and that's a nice supplement, I think, for us. And it's certainly a tool that we're going to try to use to our advantage.
Do you see this game as an opportunity to get the running game clicking? Is that a point of emphasis going into the game for you?
Well, our point of emphasis all offseason has been to be able to run the football better, right? And we've talked multiple times about that, and that's something that is in our DNA here, right? And we know that when we run the ball well, it makes things better for us offensively. It makes things better for us as a team. And so we want to get off to a great start against a really good defense. And it's going to take all phases for us to be able to do that. We're going to have to run the ball. We're going to have to throw the ball. We're going to have balance. We're going to have to protect the quarterback. We're going to have to make good decisions. But obviously, you know, this is the first game that we've had with the 2024 offensive, you know, football team. And so I'm excited to be able to go out and put that on display for our football team. You know, that's the thing about coaching. Sometimes you can lose sight of You know, at the end of the day, coaching is about trying to get the best in the people around you and these young men and put them in the best chance they can, the best position they can be to be successful. And that's a great honor, you know, as the OC, to be able to be a part of that. And so that, I don't take that lightly. I'm looking forward to giving my guys the best chance they can be to be successful coming this opener.
Last week, Thad talked about an emphasis for Caden this camp was to take that next step. So what does that look like to you with him?
Yeah, I think just looking like a veteran, you know, and obviously not looking physically. We know what there's a lot of other, descriptive words that you could use when you say look like, because when he walks through the door, you know, he looks like, you know, probably like we'd all like to look like, honestly, you know, to some degree. And, but just to see him play like a veteran, you know, he got his feet wet last year and really was a nice, really injected a lot of life into us to a large degree. And so, to take that experience, hit the ground running like I am a veteran, and I've seen signs of that, and so I'm excited for him to be able to get back out there with us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.